Hey everyone, welcome and thank you for joining today's session. In this session, we're excited to share about talking about one of the industry trends, AI inference. So we're talking about how to scale and also secure the AI inference. I'm Eric G. I'm a senior solution architect focusing on technology alliances at F5. I'm joined by
Nathan, I'm the Field CTO Ambassador at Red Hat. Welcome everyone, glad to be here. So today, we're going to start by setting the context for what Red Hat has to offer from an AI perspective. We will focus on OpenShift AI after giving a quick overview of overall Red Hat AI. How we work with partners like F5 to do what it takes to advance the solutions for our customers. And then there are multiple use cases that Eric will be walking through on how equate F5 to API security pretty much. Different ways to do that, different use cases from an AI perspective. So that's the overall talk track. Feel free to jump in, raise your hand anytime. This is not one of those where you wait until the 35th minute before we get into Q&A. So open dialogue is what we are looking for. So, can I see a show of hands on who did not attend the keynote this morning because there were announcements made? I'm just curious. Okay, one person. So that's fine. I'll be covering that. But from a general trends perspective, we made some significant announcements in the morning. That's why I was asking that. We are seeing a trend to drive productivity, efficiency. It's not about AI replacing the existing workforce. It is more about AI augmenting. And the different use cases we are seeing are, how to make more money, how to, generate revenue creatively, whether it be through content marketing, coding assistance, providing guidance during selling. It could also be so you generate revenue, cut costs, AI augmenting what is done by humans, leveraging tons and tons of Google Docs or different types of information to distill that, the TLDRs that we like, and then logistics. How can you actually factor in different types of rules and constraints to come out with the optimal model, and then managing risk. So whether it be, are the customers happy? Are the internal customers happy? What is the general sentiment? What is the risk? And evaluating that based on patterns observed over time. So these are different ways that we are seeing application of AI in general. Next slide. So go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, I think AI is transforming the industry, right? So, but at the same time, it's a double-edged sword, right? We can use AI to innovate, but also AI can be used against us, right? If not, AI security is not properly handled, or AI is not properly controlled, a lot of bad things can happen, right? This is not sci-fi stories. These are real headlines, right? So one company, they allowed prompt attacks, injection attacks that resulting into the system takeover, the remote control execution. That led to the huge downtime for production. So another company that allowed the sensitive information to be shared with the AI chatbot, so that led to the entire ban for the AI use. So another company, as you can see, that they bypass some security coding practices, allow the open source AI generated code in use. So that created a huge risk for the company. So I'm not here to scare you, right? So the key point here is if the AI security is not properly taken care, so the company is at huge risk. So I think that's the security aspect, right? So why AI adoption, what are the challenges you're seeing in terms of AI adoption?
Yep. Before I jump into that, on the previous slide, I just wanted to say, we have heard the phrase armed and dangerous. Now take that to the next level. That's what could happen with AI if it is used the wrong way. So you don't want to be in the news for the wrong reasons. But to your question, the challenges that we are seeing from an AI adoption broadly can be categorized into the three words that you're seeing there. One is, whoa, this is like GPU, there's tons and tons of data. What can it do? Where should we use it? So there is the complexity coupled with curiosity. That's what we are seeing, the need to tune models with private data. Because it's one thing to just go out there and ask Gemini and Llama and different models that are out there, quite another thing to make it applicable to the business of your enterprise. And doing that can be complex, starting with the four-letter word data. Flexibility. So I had to kind of excuse myself from the previous panel where the conversation was about retail. So how and where do you apply the use cases for AI? Is it on the edge devices like a point of sale, or back and on the warehouse and inventory management and so on? So it can go across multiple environments. So having that flexibility. Companies are more constrained by the provider they are using or the model they have chosen and being held hostage to that. So that is another challenge. And then, of course, cost. So, just doing it, with everything in place, the GPUs and so on can be cost prohibitive. So you will see how we are working together to address these challenges. What are you seeing, Eric?
Yeah, I totally echo what you're seeing in terms of complexity and costs. Flexibility, right? In addition to that, when we talk about the customers, we saw a lot of security challenges as well, right? In terms of data governance. So as you mentioned, AI relies a lot on the private data. So those private data are also governed by GDPR, HIPAA, right? How we can balance the privacy of the data while allowing those data flow into the AI model. So that's a balancing fact, right? And also security gaps. So the traditional security tools are not good enough for AI and LLM security attacks. So we need the new security models, new security tools, right? And last but not least, the visibility. So you cannot protect what you cannot see, right? So the AI model or inference training oftentimes is zero distributed, right? So how we can make sure that we have the full visibility end to end in terms of inference, in terms of training, fine-tuning. So that's a big challenge as well.
I want to highlight the value of the partnership here with F5, because not all of these challenges came from one of the companies. This was a partnership. So we, as software providers, we look at the same problem with different lenses. So some of these challenges were through the Red Hat lens, some from the F5 lens. There were some that were common. But when we work together, we are actually telling a more comprehensive story as to what challenges the joint customer base that we work with face. So just wanted to call that out.
Great point.
Yeah.
I think back to you, Nathan. So we have a lot of challenges, right? So we attack those challenges together. So from Red Hat perspective, with OpenShift AI, so how you address some of the challenges?
Let's go to the next slide. So great setup. Thank you, Eric. So yeah, move on to the next slide. So what we are seeing is we actually advocate, if you didn't hear that in the keynote, we actually advocate smaller language models, number one, more so than large language models. And start with a trusted base model that is actually represents the data that matters to you, the business of the enterprise. That's important, because you put in all the investments and the resources to do AI, and then if you run it on the industry-wide data, you will get results, you will get outcomes. But the real question is, how relevant is it to you? So you really want to run it on domain-specific data so that you can get the value with the AI. And look at that stat there. I mean, those squares they represent are in the universe of data. The data about your enterprise is 1%. Would you base the analysis, that is the outcome from just 1% of the overall data, where 99% of the data is not applicable to you. That's what you are getting if you just use the existing large language models out there. So that's what we advocate, number one. So Red Hat AI, first off, let me tell you, we do not have yet another model. We provide the platform where you can use any model of your choice, including the ones that you build yourself for the business of your enterprise. Purpose-built models, small models that are tuned with enterprise-relevant data, number one. Deploy it where the data resides. So it's one thing to say, well, it can be deployed here, but all of our data is elsewhere. What's the use? So you want to have the flexibility to take AI where data is. That's number two. And then monitor the life cycle at scale. And of course, as a result, you can maximize your technology investment. So that's the approach from a Red Hat AI and what you get out of it. Next slide. So if this session had been yesterday, it wouldn't have been, but just in case. What you see on the leftmost side, the inference server would not have been on the slide. That's what was announced this morning by Brian Stevens, who was the CTO of Red Hat. Then he went on and he's now come back, and he is now the AI CTO for Red Hat. And Neural Magic is the company we acquired. That's what Red Hat Inference, AI Inference Server is about, using VLLMs, and then also we announced the LLMD project. So I would say VLLMs are the open source way for the inference, and it is, you could say it is the Linux of AI, and LLMD, the open source project that Brian announced, is like the Kubernetes of AI, just to take a metaphorical parallel here. With RHEL AI, what you are getting is access to where you want to test out what is this about. You can, there is access to Instruct Lab with Granite models that you can use to actually experiment and see how applicable it is. So you have that ready access with RHEL AI. OpenShift AI is really the platform where data scientists can actually run the models in whatever models of your choice. So just like OpenShift as the container platform runs on any cloud of your choice, any hardware, any virtualized environment, the edge, the same concept applies to OpenShift AI, where any model, any accelerator on any cloud. That's what Chris Wright said this morning. That's what you get with OpenShift AI. So augmented inference with Red Hat AI Inference Server. This is the Red Hat AI package. That's our portfolio. Next slide. So specifically, Eric will be walking us through how F5 is working with OpenShift AI. They have not had enough time to play around with Inference Server, right?
Yeah.
So and what is coming with OpenShift AI is, you can bring your own models or customize Granite models with your data. You have the flexibility to integrate multiple libraries, frameworks, and runtimes. The deployment of the model serving and monitoring, and you can deploy it anywhere, any environment of your choice, and monitor their performance. Just like you have, if you are using OpenShift, you would have, DevOps practices in place. They graduate to MLOps to manage the entire life cycle, and this allows you to, meet workload demands, scale out, scale in, and that's really what you are getting with OpenShift AI. Next slide. So what's in there is, they are the accelerators, again, any model, any accelerator, any cloud, and the operating system, the container platform, and then you have the software and the cloud services with RHEL AI, the application foundations, and then we work with our ISV partners who provide their software and cloud services, which allows you to gather data, develop, deploy, monitor it, and retrain. That cycle is really what you are getting with OpenShift AI, working with the partner ecosystem. So why Red Hat OpenShift AI? Simplification. So remember, complexity being one of the challenges, this actually simplifies how you adopt, and what I would call out there is the freedom of choice. You can run any model anywhere. That's what you're getting, number one, with simplification. And then consistency. So projects to POCs to moving to production, that evolution. And then the flexibility, just like you have. So you will notice, there is a consistent theme, whether it be the operating system with Red Hat Enterprise Linux, whether it be the OpenShift container platform, whether it be Ansible. It's always the ability to do things consistently in any environment of your choice. So we have just stuck to that theme so that you can deploy models in a containerized format in any one of these environments, just like you deploy apps. Next slide. And now Eric will walk us through how we are working together for the customer's benefit.
Thank you, Nathan. So Nathan already talked about how OpenShift AI can simplify, right, the AI deployment. So I will talk about the other side of the equation. It's about security. So before I dive into the joint solutions, I'd like to zoom out a little bit to take a look at the AI architecture, right? So as you know that, so AI has many phases in terms of training, fine-tuning, inference, right? So here we zoom into one of the critical, or if not the critical use cases about is AI inference or model serving. So as you can see here, right? So there are many components involved in the AI inference, from front-end application to LLM orchestration to the inference services, right? Also have RAG services for better inference. So as you can see here, right, all components are talking to each other through the APIs. So first of all, I think we need to secure the API, right? Without API security, so that means all the we are building a fortress without open backdoor. So, but the ARM application, again, is unique. It's very different from traditional modern apps, right? The text surface is different. So the vector is different, right? So the distribution manner also is different, right? So that's why, in addition to traditional security attacks, so we have a whole set of new security attacks targeted for the LLM, right? So here we are guided by the OWASP LLM top 10 security attacks. We're talking about prompt injection, sensitive data leaking. Those new attacks are introduced by the new security vectors of the LLM. To address those security attacks, right, we are building multiple layers of security with F5 security solutions. So first with F5 API security, so we have first layer of protection about all the APIs. So secondly, we specifically built AI gateway to secure LLM specific attacks. And also, I will touch upon the third use case is about AI RAG with F5 Distributed Cloud and OpenShift AI. So how we can not only to secure the application, but also make sure that we have seamless connectivity across multiple services. So let's take a look at the first use case, right? So API security. So as I mentioned, so all the like front-end application, the model, the data, or the RAG services, they are all talking or speak APIs, right? So API is the foundation of the AI security. So that's the first step to protect the APIs.
I just wanted to add something there, Eric. So, weak links. If you're hackers, what they look for is where are the application components intersecting. That's usually a weak link. So APIs, in a way, are those connectors. And that's why, to go back to that slide, the API security matters when you want to be secure with AI. So just wanted to take that metaphor, Sorry to disrupt the slide flow there.
Thank you. I think we...
You want to go the other way? There we go.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So the weak links, the intersections, that's what we have to be doubly secure with.
Yeah, I think the key point is the traditional API security still apply, right?
Yeah.
So here we have, with F5, we have F5 distributed cloud, web application, and API security portfolio. So that has the best API security gating. So basically, so we have kind of 3 pillars of this product. So first one is to discover all the API endpoints. So then we can build a schema out of that to make sure that all the API transactions are following the schema. So then we have the second pillar is about monitoring, right? So monitor all the live traffic, all the live API transactions, use AI and ML to detect anomaly. The third one is about the enforcement, security enforcement. So how this fit into OpenShift AI, right? So this is the overall solution architecture we built with OpenShift AI. On the right-hand side, as you can see that, so we are using OpenShift AI to do model training, fine-tuning. But at the end of the day, so we want to serve the model to the end user, right? To expose API endpoint. But here, instead of exposing the endpoint, API endpoint, directly to the user, so we reroute the API to F5 distributed cloud. So that's the place we can do the security enforcement. So we can apply all the security features or suites I mentioned to the API security, to the AI inference endpoints. So here I just highlight 5 use cases for API security. So the first one is, so I will take you through one by one. So first one is about, as I mentioned, API discovery, right? So it can analyze each API transaction, then build an inventory of all the API endpoints. So then we can analyze the traffic to find shadow APIs, and no APIs, and documented APIs, right? You can choose to flag or deny the API endpoints. So from there, we can define the schema policies. Detect any violation or even API drift to enforce compliances, right? So moving on, we can use OpenAPI. The second use case is we can use OpenAPI validation to inspect both the request and also the response to make sure that it's compliant and we can detect any harmful contents, right? And again, from there, you can dynamically define a security policy. So the AI, actually, inference, we have precious resources, right? So that will be easily be the target for the bot attack. So at F5 Distributed Cloud, we offer the bot defense, right? That can classify the good bot from the bad bots. And we can also do the rate limiting. So we can limit the based on the user ID or the IP, right? So if you cross the line, so you will receive the 429, too many requests. We can block the request based on the user. So how about sensitive data? So how about it's possible that the model can release some of the sensitive information, such as social security card number or addresses, right? So with FI Distributed Cloud, we can index those sensitive information with a policy. Last but not least, so the single dashboard, we can visualize those metrics such as like error rate, latency, request rate, right? Based on those metrics, so we can see if some of the APIs behave abnormally, we can dynamically define the policies as well. So moving on, right? So to the second use case is about AI gateway. So as I mentioned that the API security is the first layer of defense, but the AI or LLM, the attack has its own attack surfaces, right? Its own, it's more targeted to the model or context, right? It's very different. So we need the second layer of the defense. So this is why AI gateway come to the picture. So with AI gateway, this is a new product we released back in February. Here we're talking about prompt injection, right? System prompt attacks, data leaks, the smart routing, specifically to the LLM models. So if we layer that to the original architecture, so this is the new two-layer defense about the AI security, right? So as you can see that from the left, you can see FI Distributed Cloud to offer the API security as the first layer of defense. So then we have AI gateway running inside the OpenShift cluster to provide LLM-specific attack detection, right? So here we're talking about prompt injection detection, smart routing based on the language ID, repetition detection, right? And model routing. This very specific to the LLM introduced. So this basically we're addressing the OWASP LLM top 10 attacks. So let me give you a couple of examples, right? So we're talking about these 5 features we are offering today out of the AI gateway. Let's see a couple of examples, right? So firstly, it's about smart routing. So as we know that, small language, small model, right? So targeted for specialized in certain tasks, right? So you want certain tasks will be handled by certain models. Mm-hmm. So that's what we call smart routing. For example, this here, we give a simple example is, so based on your language, right? So the AI gateway will tag the request by detecting the language. So then forward that request to different models, okay? So just here, a simple example. If it's English, use Llama 2, and French, use Mistral, right? That's. So prompt injection. So prompt injection, as you may know, that basically it's a simple trick, right? That you can manipulate the prompt. That the model will reply with some sensitive information that should not be shared, okay? So here we are giving you a very simple example, right? On the left, you can see that is without AI gateway protection. So on the right is with AI gateway. So basically the problem here is constructed in a way that the user is trying to get the account information from somebody else's account, right? Not his. I think he provided an account ID different from his own ID. And without AI gateway protection, so you can see that the model will reply with the account information. So those information, this can be detected by AI gateway as a system prompt injection and will be blocked. So here is another example about system prompt leakage. So system prompt leakage is very similar as system prompt, but the goal is not to for the model sensitive information. Instead, is to trying to to get the instructions and logics about the model, right? As you can see that from the left, without AI gateway, the model will reply the information about the API keys it's using, right? The user transaction information as well, right? A lot of information should not be shared to the user, will be leaked. So those can be detected by AI gateway as the system prompt leakage. So it will be blocked by the AI gateway. So now I will shift gears to talk about the third use cases we built together. It's about the AI RAG using F5 Distributed Cloud and OpenShift AI, and also NetApp ONTAP storage. So here is the scenario where we have distributed AI services. So the end user access the retrieval augmented services residing in one location, California. Then the AI inference point is running in the cloud, served by OpenShift AI. So then we have the on-prem data storage running in Seattle, okay, to feed the data to the RAG services. So how F5 Distributed Cloud come to the picture to make a play? So basically, the first use case is about network connectivity, right? So when the RAG services access the on-prem data store, so we need to build a layer 3 connectivity. So F5 Distributed Cloud can automate that networking piece, not only to build the connectivity, but also with a secure tunnel. And secondly, so as I mentioned, right, so RAG services, we want to access the inference endpoint residing in the cloud. So F5 Distributed can build a service mesh, application level service mesh across cloud to provide the inference service to the RAG services. So this is the configuration GUI, right? You can see that. So from the RAG services, we can access the HTTP load balancer, which pointed to the inference services running in the cloud. At the same time, right, we can create a connectivity between the RAG services and the on-prem NetApp data store. So this is another view of this same scenario. As you can see from the left, this is without and with RAG. The difference, we're showing the difference because we're loading the migration toolkit from virtualization to the data store. So without RAG, you can see that the model returns the MTV as a movie channel, right? So with RAG, you can see that the information will be, it will query the real-time data store and provide the more relevant information. So with that, I will hand it back to Nathan to wrap it up.
So it's not enough to be simple with, simplify usage of AI. It's not enough to be just secure. You need both. So how can you simply and securely deploy AI? That's really the overarching message. So to simplify adoption, Red Hat provides a consistent containerized platform across all clouds, edge, virtualized environments. With OpenShift AI, we provide the MLOps pipelines, the flexibility to deploy AI where you want. Any model, any accelerator, any cloud. That's the overall mantra behind simplifying AI adoption. Securing it with F5 is about, like Eric walked through the use cases, discovery, inspection, the threat protection for compliant deployments. He walked through how the F5 architecture is including, it's running on top of OpenShift along with other partners like NetApp, a very realistic scenario, right? One data center out there in the West Coast, and then another one, elsewhere. So, but still, you simplified and secured it, right?
Yes, it's about connectivity and also securing.
Yes, secure connectivity. So now, when we combine, if we can advance, so what you get, the customer, is adopting deployment and deploying AI at scale with confidence. Rest assured that this works because it is, number one, simple, and equally simple and secure. Because security is integrated into every stage, ensuring end-to-end observability, no matter where it runs, where it can run in the environment of your choice. So this is our way of, together we are delivering a message, despite the challenges that we are perceiving together as partners. Here is how we have worked together to address those challenges on your behalf, you, the customer.
Yeah, I think today we just quickly walked through the solutions, but there's a lot of more resources you can access. So here are a couple of links, right, about the 3 solutions we built together. API security, AI gateway solution with OpenShift AI, and also the RAG use cases.
Next time we'll do it with Inference server.
Yeah, the VLM, right? Yeah. So we talked a lot out here, and for those use cases, we have demos available at booth 648. I encourage you to visit the booth, and we can show you the demo. We can have a conversation, answer your questions, and thank you. Yeah.